Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And today I'd like to show you how I made this Valentine's card. I've been fooling around with this Sealed with Love bundle and I'm just having a good time with it, and this is the next card that I've come up with in this out of this bundle of stamps and dies. And this one, it says sent with love, and it uses one of the envelopes. And then on the inside it says Happy Valentine's Day, and this is cut a little bit, so and has a little bit of embellishment on the inside. So what it takes to make this card, and I'll just set this one here for now, is we need a couple of things here. I've got a card base out of Whisper White that's 8.5 by 5.5 and scored at 4 1/4. And then I've got a pretty large piece of scrap to be able to cut out all of my hearts, my envelope, my little hearts, and the hearts for the inside. Probably don't need a half a sheet, but I didn't want to skimp. And then you'll need some designer series paper. And what I did was on this card, and I'm going to make this one the same way, this designer series paper comes out of this Sending Love Designer Series paper stack. And there's just an awful lot of really pretty papers in here. I think I showed this with the last one, and this one is the one I'm using. And the pack comes with, I think it's 6 of each design, double-sided. And what I want to show is that while I use this one with this as the coordinating piece, easily this one could be used here with this coordinating piece. And there are several here, big polka dots, and some with writing. And there's just an awful lot here with stripes. There's just, it's such a pretty set. There's just an awful lot of things that you can do with this. And here's little dots and another darker red at the bottom. So any number of combinations here. Once you've got the paper stack, it would just be, probably the biggest dilemma would be figuring out which one you wanted to use because it's all so pretty. So the other thing that I'm using in order to make this is the Sealed with Love new stamp set. And this is 27 stamps. It's just amazing. And the die set is this Love Notes Framelit dies. This die set has 14 dies. This stamp set has 27 stamps. And the ones I'm going to be using today, I'm going to be using Happy Valentine's Day. And then I'm going to be using this little tiny one here that says Sent with Love. And those are the stamps that I'll be using. And then the dies, I'm using a couple of hearts and the little envelope die. All right, so I cut my designer series paper, and this is 2 3/4, maybe 2 7/8, 2 7/8 by 5 1/8, and or no, it's more than that. 5 3/16. Let me check that. Make sure that that's right. Yep, that's right. Okay, so again, 2 7/8 and 5 3/16. And so these pieces are the same length, 5 3/16. This piece is 1 3/4 inches, and this little piece is 1/8 of an inch. And that's really all you need to make this set. So let me tell you a little bit about what I did on the dies and putting things through the Big Shot. I used just the platform and the thin die adapter, and then a cutting sheet, a cutting plate, then my paper and my die, and another cutting plate. And it's the same for all of these dies. It's very simple because these are framelets, and so they're not terribly intricate, and they cut out beautifully with just one pass. And so when you use the envelope die, this is what you get, and this little envelope pulls out of there. Then I used this die, which has this cute little articulated heart. And what I found on this one is if you push from, can you see that? I have a tendency to get over to one side. If you push that through like this, it lifts off the back of the die, and it just peels right off the die. And there you've got your little articulated heart. And these little hearts bend, these sides bend up. And then what you end up with is all of this flat surface here to put glue on. So that's that particular one. And then I used this little heart die. And again, very simple, just a little heart die. And so those are the pieces that I'm using to make the card. So let's get started and show you exactly what I did with this. First, we want to fold and burnish our, our card base here. And then we need to trim this piece. I want to verify here that what I did was I cut that off. So what I did was I left 3 inches from the score line on here. So you set your score line right at 3 inches and cut off this bottom panel. And actually then you use this panel for the little bit of white scrap that you need. So that takes care of that. Okay, so it's pretty simple. This is adhered here with just snail, and it's adhered flat. Oh, I wanted to show something. On your silicone mat, this is a perfect example. It's got a little bit of glue residue where I made a pool of like Tombow glue, or I ran fuse over it or something, and you get this little residue of glue on here. And this is a tip that I got from another demonstrator here, Kathy, in my demo group. And she said to get some wide painter's tape. And so I went out and got the widest roll I could find and just tear off a piece. And then you kind of wad this up and you use it on here, and it absolutely wipes any glue residue you have on your silicone mat right off. It's really nifty, and it will wipe off the glitter. It wipes off just about everything, and there you can see my silicone mat has absolutely nothing left on it. And what I did was I just took this little wad of tape and put it inside the middle of the roll so I can use it a couple of times. But it's a fast and easy way to get some glue off of your silicone mat without washing with soap and water in between. Okay, back to this. I'm going to put some snail on this piece. My aim isn't very good today, so let me put that back on there. All right, and this piece is going to fit on here with a pretty small border. Then this piece, this little 1/8 of an inch piece here, is going to sit along the top edge here. And I think I gave that about 1/4 of an inch. 1/4 of an inch from the top or so. And and lined it up with the edge of the designer series paper and drew it across and then trimmed it. Well, you can cut it exactly, but sometimes I like trimming a little bit longer so that I can get a perfect fit when I do those things. So I put that piece on. Then this designer series paper, and the only thing you have to watch with the designer series paper is when it's directional, and this one is the little hearts. You wouldn't want to put it on this way with your hearts going down, so you just need to watch how you cut your paper so that you get your direction the way you want it. And so I'm going to add a little adhesive here, and this is similar to the top piece, just a small border around, and that covers nicely, and it gives you that contrast here, which I think is important for this card and for a lot of cards to have things on there the way you want them. All right, so the next thing was I needed to cut out 5 of these little hearts and 2 of those little hearts, and I cut out 1 from the little piece of designer series paper of the white pattern here, and so I have my hearts here, 3, 4, 5. So that's how many hearts I put across. And then our little envelope, which has been scored for us by the Big Shot when we ran this through. And I'm looking at this, and I think it needs to be folded up this way. It does. Okay, and so just get that folded to start with, and then we'll burnish those lines as we go. So I think maybe I think I'm going to go ahead and adhere these. The only thing to watch on this is that because of the way these hearts go on here, and in fact they could go a little bit lower, is that you don't want to get any glue on the tips. Otherwise your card is going to stick to the base, and that's not what you want. So I used Tombow, and the biggest challenge is remembering not to put the glue all the way around. So glue just on the top, the spine, around the edge. And what I did was I took my first little heart and kind of put it so that it came right up along the edge. And because I put my glue up top, oops, I guess I need to slide that over a little bit. It went off the edge of the card, and I don't want that because I want it to fit in the envelope. Okay, so there we have our first one done. Let me use my paper piercer to pick up that little edge so it doesn't glue down. There we go. All right, there we go. So the next one, and these are scored so they give you that spine to add some glue, which I think is just great. And again, the biggest challenge is remembering not to put the glue at the bottom. I don't know how many I've done where I had to go back and wipe it back off again because I'm so used to putting glue on everything everywhere. So this one I set on this side, same kind of thing, so that I got my edges defined on the card. So there we go. Then I tucked the next several of them sort of in between so that they kind of went back and forth from a direction perspective and overlapped them. And you can see there just about how much I overlapped them. Not a lot, but enough so that when the hearts are down, you can have hearts going one way or the other. And then the next one I put on this side and the last one in the middle. So let me get this one folded and put my glue on here. I just love this bundle. I'm having so much fun with it. There's so many possibilities. And then I was thinking about the other hearts that we have in the catalog. We have that beautiful filigree heart that came out last year. And then we have our layering heart framelets. I think you could really do a lot of fun, crazy stuff for this holiday. And then this paper. This paper is just beautiful. I think it would be fun to cut something out of the busiest paper possible, that filigree heart, so that you'd get not only the filigree but the pattern of the paper. I think that would be amazing. Let me try to do one of those in my next video. Okay, so here's our last heart. And that I'm going to fit between these two hearts, and I get much more of an overlap on that one, but I think that's fine. So I have my hearts all along the bottom. Isn't that cute? I just love it. And then I have to do a little bit of stamping. So I have my little piece of scrap white, and I have mounted my Scent with Love, and I have my ink pad here, my real red ink pad, and so I'm going to ink that up, and I am going to give myself plenty of room here. I'm not happy with that. I think I rocked it. Let me try that again. There we go. That's great. All right, so we have that stamp, and the other thing we need to stamp is the Happy Valentines, which is this much larger stamp, and that's going to get stamped on the inside of the card. Now you could make the card go this way and put your hearts going up and down, in which case you'd want to stamp your Happy Valentines up there. But because I made mine go this way, the Happy Valentines needs to go in on so that it makes sense for the direction of the card. And I kind of picked this little corner here. The thing that's nice about this stamp is there is absolutely no need to try to get this straight. The whole thing is at an angle, and it can just be at an angle. And so there's no pressure on trying to make it be straight. It's kind of a big stamp though, so it does take a bit of pressure and making sure that you get a good impression and letting it sit for a second and then coming off. And there we go. Got a nice impression there. So that's all of the stamping there is. Now, to make my little tag that I did here, what I used was this label punch here, the simple label punch. I can't remember exactly the name. And I set it so that I had this centered in the middle of the punch, and a small margin on this end. And so once I got that, then to give it a tail, I put it back in here, spied where my words were, and decided bring it back out where I think it needs to be. And there you've got, oh, I got a little tail left on there. But you end up with a little tail on your sentiment. And with this punch, you can make that sentiment, you can make this as long or as short as you want. Now on here, what I did was I took my little printed heart here, which I'm having trouble picking up here. And I put a little bit of glue on the end of this tag and then attached it to the heart. Here we go. And then got to put the envelope together. And I did that with glue dots. So what I did was right on the very tip of this little envelope, if you put a glue dot right at the very end, then you can close the other end and your glue dot will cover just perfectly without getting glue where you don't want it. Now, it's the same thing for this bottom piece down here, and I like folding the bigger piece up and then using this top as just the top flap. So on this, again, getting your glue dot right on the edge of this point allows you to close this and not have the glue be any place that you don't want it. And so there we have our little envelope folded. Now, I didn't burnish this, and I kind of like the fact that it's a little poofy. But I guess that's fine too. Yeah, okay. So burnish or not, your choice. And then what I did was I took my little heart and I think I raised that on just a little piece of a dimensional. Yes, I did. Okay, so this is a place to use the bones on your dimensionals and cut off a few little pieces on the bottom here. And I took a piece of a dimensional and put it across both the heart and the tag. And then set that just offset so you can see the whole heart without actually having to tuck it inside the envelope. There we go. All right. Now, this I put here, and again, I think I did 2 dimensionals on the back of this. Let me see if I've got some full ones here. I do. So 2 dimensionals. You could probably get away with 1, but I'm afraid it would bounce around, move too much. So a couple of dimensionals here, and making sure your tag doesn't go too far off the card here. And kind of wanted mine in the middle, because then that allowed me to use a couple of these smaller red hearts that I cut out, and again putting a little partial dimensional on each one of those little hearts. And I think my aim was not good on that one. There we go, right in the center. And I put 1 heart on either side of the envelope. And let's see, yeah, I've got one more small piece that I've cut here. Okay, and 1 little heart on that side. I guess I should have them be a little bit more symmetrical. Okay, so there we go. That's most of the front of the card. In fact, the card is practically put together. So I also cut out 2 more of these little red hearts because I thought that the inside would be fun to put a couple of these hearts right up here in the corner. So again, what I did was I put a little bit of glue on one side of one of these, and I offset the hearts like that, and then put some more glue, snail, on the back of the whole thing. Get a little bit of glue going on there, and set those in place on the inside of the card. And I think that makes a really nice decoration for inside the card. Now on the outside, on this one I put pearls, and I thought it would be kind of interesting. On this one I'm going to do rhinestones, because I wanted to see what that looked like. The biggest issue is it takes a lot of rhinestones to come down that whole length of the heart. I think I figured out that you had to have 7. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's try 7 and see how we do here. And so pick these up. And lay that whole string of hearts along the spine of that heart. What do you think? You know, I'm kind of a bling girl. I think I like the rhinestones better. It's terrible. I put rhinestones on everything. Okay, so let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, that works out. So this one can just come off. And I toyed around with not putting bling on every one. At first I was putting it on the 2 end ones and the one in the middle. And so we can start out that way and see what we think. So somehow adding this stuff just seems to finish a card so nicely. So you know, putting them on every one feels like a bit too much, but leaving these completely bare also doesn't sit right with me. So I wonder what it would be like to put just one in the middle on these. And then it's not quite so busy. There we go. I kind of like that. So I put one to finish my envelope, and then one in the center of each of these hearts. There we go. Isn't that pretty? All right, so that is our project for today. And I'll have to say, I do think I like the one with the rhinestones better. But I'm partial to rhinestones. Make a comment and let me know what you think. So that is our project for today. Thanks so much for stopping by and watching my YouTube channel. Everything that's here can be purchased. The Sealed with Love bundle. And when you order it as a bundle rather than, and I've done that before where I ordered the dies, and because I thought I didn't like the stamp set as much, and then went ahead and ordered the stamps anyway. But when you order them together, you save 10%, which is a pretty good deal. But this stamp set is a good bargain anyway, because there are so many stamps. I think it was 27 stamps and 14 dies. There's a lot you can do with this, and I've really just scratched the surface with the first 2 Valentine's cards I've put out there. So, again, thanks for stopping by and watching my YouTube channel. And you can purchase any of this stuff on my Stampin' Up site, lbedinger.stampinup.net. This is in the new Occasions catalog, which will be released on January the 4th. And so it's just a couple of days, and if you don't already have a demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator. If you'd like to have copies of the catalogs, what I'm sending people is a copy of the annual catalog, which is the one that is good through June, and then the occasions catalog, and then also Celebration. When you order from Stampin' Up! Out of this new occasions catalog through the end of March, every time you spend $50, you get to pick something free from the Celebration catalog. And that is just wonderful. It's got stamps and paper, and it's got all kinds of things that are really pretty in it. And that's a tradition every year. Stampin' Up! Does this Celebration. So if you ordered $100 worth of stuff, you would pick up 2 items for free out of the catalog. 150, 3 items, so on and so forth. And so right now, it's a very good deal because you can get stamp sets, and some of those stamp sets would be $20 or so. So now, my prize draw for December, because it is still December for another day, if you order on my website, you're automatically put into the prize draw, is the Birds and Blooms Thinlit set. And that is really a pretty set. It's got several different sized birds in it, some filigreed, some the outline, the framelit, and it really is a pretty set. I think it's about a $27 value in the catalog. And then if you order from me an order of $25 or more, you get a product gift and a thank you gift from me at the end of the month. So thanks again for watching, and I'll be back soon. Bye.